Welcome back. President Joseph Biden Jr. and Vice President Kamala Harris took office on 20th of January. Just 1 month into his term, the president has taken several significant decisions, changing the course of U.S. foreign policy. We're now joined via Skype by the Ambassador Lisa Johnson, the U.S. Ambassador to Namibia, to speak about foreign policy priorities of the new U.S. administration, President Biden's first message to Africa, and Ambassador Johnson's current priorities for Namibia. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Treasure. Thank you very much for having me on the show again this morning. I'm excited to talk to you about the new BidenHarris administration and its foreign policy priorities.
So we're very excited to hear about your insights and your opinions on how this is going to help Namibia as well as Africa.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, so far it's only been a month into the new Biden-Harris administration, but really President Biden has set out a clear new direction for U.S. foreign policy and how the United States is going to engage with the world.
Yes.
And how it's going to approach several important foreign policy issues.
Yes.
And I think the most important word there is engage. That America's back, America's ready to engage with the world again, to reinvigorate our alliances and be a strong, trusted partner for peace, security, and prosperity around the world. And I love President Biden's quote. I believe he stole this from President Clinton, that we will lead not merely by the example of our power, but by the power of our example.
Yeah.
And President Biden really means that. Our foreign policy under the Biden-Harris administration is going to be grounded in the American values of democracy and human rights and working with allies, partners, and especially international institutions. And I think there's a lot of promise in that for Africa and for Namibia.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. Can you elaborate a little bit more on this? You did speak about the re-engagement and then the America's foreign policy, but can you elaborate just perhaps more what this will entail?
Sure. I mean, some of the very first foreign policy initiatives of the Biden administration that will sort of help restore America's place in the world, I mean, we can just tick them off. Last week on February 19th, the United States rejoined the Paris Climate Agreement. We've re-engaged with the World Health Organization. We've ended that so-called Muslim travel ban. We've restarted our refugee admissions program. We're joining the Human Rights Council again as an observer, and we've reprioritized sexual and reproductive health and are making our contributions to the UN Population Fund. That's an amazing, quick start. And just yesterday, the United States ambassador, permanent representative to the United Nations, was confirmed by the U.S. Senate. That's Linda Thomas Greenfield. She is very well known to Africa as the former Assistant Secretary of State to Africa and to Namibia. She was here in an official visit in 2016 and also again in 2018 in a personal capacity and called on President Gangab.
Let's have a look at the Paris Climate Agreement that you just mentioned, that America has rejoined. Why the reversal from the Trump administration's decision?
Well, I think it's because the Biden-Harris administration really puts a priority on climate change as part of our foreign policy, our diplomacy, and our national security. It's a global problem that requires a global solution, and we're going to be weaving that climate change conversation into every conversation we have with our bilateral partners and multilateral organizations. Right now, we're busy preparing our emissions target under the Paris Climate Accord, as well as our climate financing plan. And President Biden has announced that he's going to host a Leaders Climate Summit on April 22nd, virtually, of course. But this is on Earth Day, and we're really excited to engage the world's leadership again on climate change.
This is very interesting, all these new developments that have been taking place in such a short time, as you've mentioned, under the Biden-Kamala administration. Ambassador, let's look at the health challenge, obviously, that we've got at the moment is the COVID-19 challenge. What will be America's role in helping combat COVID-19 in America and also worldwide?
Well, the Biden administration is very committed to strengthening global health security and global health cooperation. We recognize that COVID-19 is, as I said, that's one of our global challenges, and it's going to take a global solution. We've re-engaged with the World Health Organization, which really has the most important role to play in organizing the international response. So the United States is going to be engaging both bilaterally and multilaterally to both respond to COVID-19 and to help countries recover from COVID-19. And we're surging resources at this problem. Just on February 19th, last Friday, President Biden announced the United States is putting forward $2 billion US dollars immediately and up to $4 billion US dollars ultimately toward COVAX, which is the facility that is going to fund the procurement and delivery of vaccines to lower and upper middle income countries, almost 100 countries in the world. That's the largest contribution to date to COVAX. So we're really putting our money where our mouth is on this one. And the bulk of those funds are going to be targeted toward vaccine procurement for many, many countries. And also some of it will be targeted toward helping countries deliver those vaccines.
Let's have a look at human rights, which I think is something that's very, very fundamental in our world. And President Biden did say that he's putting human rights back at the center of America's foreign policy. How's this coming through in his policies and decisions?
Gosh, well, I'd say even just in the past week or two, we've seen on Burma, for example, where the United States is really leading the effort to condemn that coup, to galvanize other international efforts in collective action in support of that. We're standing up, speaking out, calling it as we see it, and working with others to improve our world. President Biden has also directed that the United States and State Department immediately re-engage with the UN Human Rights Council as an observer. We believe there's a need for reform in that body, but also that we will be best able to help by being part of that conversation. And then I think also on the human rights front, it's racial equity is really important to President Biden. And you saw that in his choice of vice president. I could not be more excited that we have our first female vice president and our first Black female vice president. It really shows how important racial equity is in our policy, both in the United States and globally.
Yeah. And then let's move to Africa. What has President Biden signaled will be his approach to Africa?
I think he's actually been sending some very early, strong signals, which I think is just fabulous. President Biden, I know him. I know him because I've worked for him when he was vice president of the United States. I was his advisor on South and Central Asia, on India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. I know how he feels about the world and the role of the United States in the world and about Africa. He understands the importance of Africa and that we have to work together with our partners in Africa for a better future for all our countries. And he actually took the time to make a statement during the recent Africa Union Summit that really was a message to all of Africa. He said, "We believe in the nations of Africa and that the United States stands ready to be your partner in solidarity, support, and mutual respect." I love the quote. That's the approach he's going to be taking, and I'm really excited to see him start to engage the African continent.
Mrs. Johnson, now we want to zoom into Namibia. What does this mean for Namibia? For you, for example, what has your team been engaging on, or what will your team engage in for Namibia?
Well, as you know, we are a strong partner in health with Namibia. We've been working on the HIV/AIDS response here in Namibia for over 15 years through PEPFAR. And Namibia is just doing amazing, excelling at combating HIV. We've now put all that good partnership to work also on combating COVID-19. And now we have the strong support of the Biden administration behind us on that, because President Biden's committed to global health security and to dealing with the global health challenges. So we're really excited to continue moving forward on that. As you know, the Center for Disease Control and other U.S. agencies, we've been there in the fight against COVID-19 from the very beginning, side by side with the Ministry of Health, working on everything from case management to strengthening laboratories to case surveillance, contact tracing, really in all the different facets of the response. And now we're also participating in the vaccine task force, which is going to be really important as vaccines start coming to Namibia. And we're able to provide assistance on sort of the scientific and clinical information behind vaccines, helping with the public education, community engagements campaigns, training healthcare workers for service delivery. I think it's going to be very, very exciting to see vaccines roll out here in Namibia.
Yeah. No, thank you very, very much for that, Ambassador. Thank you so much for your time joining us on this program to give us insight with regards to the President Biden, Kamala administration, and also your input and what you'll be doing with regards to Namibia from your office as well. No, thank you so much.